Well, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, reaching for coffee, things you can look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. We're going to get into some interesting feedback that I had on my Baren mixture Scottish blend full review that posted on Patreon. I want to talk a little bit about rangefinder cameras, just some photo stuff, some interesting photo stuff to talk about. And then, of course, we'll have your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag Stuff and Things, and we'll round out the show with Patreon shoutouts and updates. So please stay tuned. All right, gang, so what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon? Well, this coming week will be the 1-year update on my beautiful custom Nikkor Pullman engineer boots. These boots are absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love them. I've had them for over a year now. I guess it's been a year and 3 months, thereabouts, since I got these boots. I've been wearing them a ton, and I absolutely love them. And I did a full, a update review, 1-year update review that we'll be posting on Stuff and Things YouTube and Patreon as well this coming week. The week after that, we are going to have Patreon only, exclusive to Patreon because it's pipe stuff, the first impressions video for Rattray's Hal the Wind, a Vaporky that I found quite interesting. My first impressions are pretty positive. I don't want to give it away, but definitely watch that video if you're a Patreon supporter. It's good stuff. Very good stuff indeed. The week after that, we're going to do a video, photography related, about this beautiful classic film lens for the Nikon F mount. This is the Nikon, I have to get this whole name here, Nikon Nikkor 55mm f2.8 AIS lens. So this is a macro lens for film. And I've been using this on my Nikon FE2 film camera, and it is nice. This lens was made from 1979 until 2020. So that should tell you that it was probably a pretty popular lens, and there was probably a reason it was so popular. This is a fairly modern example. I think this is from the early 2000s. It's in beautiful shape. I got it from Japan. I think I paid $90 for it, $100 for it. You can get these amazing lenses for these film photography systems at ridiculous prices. They were making this new up until 2020, and I think when it was still being sold new on B&H Photo, you could get it for around $400. You can't get it new anymore, but there are so many used examples out there, and many of them in really nice shape because they kept making it for so long. So I did a video review, sort of a review, or just an overview of this lens. If you shoot film and you have a Nikon F-mount camera, I highly recommend this. So check that video out. That'll be on Stuff and Things YouTube and Patreon as well. Lots of other good stuff coming up on both the Patreon, exclusive pipe stuff on Patreon, and then the YouTube channel. Stay tuned. I don't want my lens to fall onto the sharp rocks below, so I will place it carefully over there. Okay, we have some feedback. I posted the full review of Baren mixture Scottish blend on Patreon last week. And this was a blend where, if you've been paying attention or following along, when I did the first impressions video, I was kind of ambivalent, actually very ambivalent about it. Or not even ambivalent. No, not ambivalent. I was very negative about it. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I tried it for the first time in a very windy area. It was just burning way too hot. And as many of you have experienced yourselves, a lot of Baren blends, the non-HH line blends, have a tendency towards tongue bite, and I was getting that feeling. It didn't turn into full-blown tongue bite, but it was approaching that, and I could taste a kind of casing, a topping, something sugary on top. I didn't like it that much. When I tried it in, I guess, more fair circumstances, more fair to the blend, when I was able to not let it get so hot because of the wind, my experiences with it definitely improved. And by the time I did the full review, I guess you could say I was more actually ambivalent. It was okay. I still didn't love it. but much better than the first impressions video. And it's just interesting to me, and we talked about this a little bit in the review, that it's one of the most popular blends out there. And I don't know, I just find that fascinating because it doesn't really hit for me. But we had some good feedback from you, and I thought it would be interesting to read it out on this Sunday Stuff and Things. This is from Aaron H. via Patreon. Remember, if you want pipe stuff, it is now exclusively posted to Patreon because I can no longer post it on my YouTube channel. Aaron H. says, it doesn't seem like it has a flavoring, like a vanilla or a maple or rum. If it is an aromatic, it is the lightest of the genre. I wonder if it's topped with molasses or some other, that's hard to say, some other sugar syrup. If it is, it's likely applied by being diluted in alcohol, or at least as I understand the process. That makes it a bit of a mystery, but I suppose that's probably the answer. And I think I agree with you there, Aaron H. It doesn't feel as though the flavor is a flavor, the topping or the casing. At least I can't detect anything distinctive, but there is definitely some sort of sugary casing. And you can just tell in the mouthfeel that there is something on there. And it doesn't surprise me at all that there is, and I assume that there was, but I couldn't put my finger on any specific flavor. But it's definitely a sugary kind of casing. Chris Portislander said, like you, I prefer non-topped blends, but to my own surprise, I found this very pleasant overall. 1. Nostalgia. Whatever this casing is, this is the smell of my teacher's pipe and my neighbor's pipe from my childhood. Interesting. And I kind of get that. It definitely has that kind of old school, maybe codger blend kind of feel to it. Number 2, because of its mini 30-plus component leaves, you get something a little different every time you ess it. Yeah, there's a lot of nuance going on. There are a lot of different flavors that you can tease out of this blend, so that's one of the things I actually did like about it. And then 3, it's sold only in pouches here in Japan, which makes my mind put it in the codger blend category. And there it easily takes first prize. And yeah, I guess if you are putting it up against, you know, Captain Black, it's a much, much better blend than that. Also, perhaps a good blend for aromatic essers who want to move into non-aromatics. Yeah, definitely. Chris, thank you for that feedback. And then finally we have Jason Buckner, who says, I think mouth chemistry has so much to do with it. I love McFadin blends, I always have, but the one bowl I get is magical, and the next bowl I get, I have to put it down because that little thing you were talking about. But for me, it's not on the edge of tongue bite, it's full-on tongue bite. McFadin H-line is excluded from this. That's been my experience as well. I've never had any issue with any HH line blends. It's only their classic series, and I really believe it's the topping, which in Denmark is the traditional way to ess a Danish blend. There is always a light topping on them, and for me, it's either bliss or agony. Some people can ess Scottish blend, plum cake, or mixture modern all day, every day. I can't, and I believe it's because of my mouth chemistry. I actually love the smell, the taste, and the moisture content is perfect, but it's mouthfeel that gets me. I keep McFadin Classic in stock, and Scottish mixture is not going away, but I keep them because just every now and again, I get the magical bowl. Is it worth it? My answer is yes. Yeah, and I think I agree with you, Jason, because I had some bowls that were totally fine. No issues whatsoever, and then I had other bowls where I did get that feel. And it wasn't just because of my cadence or anything like that. I was trying to really sip it, really keep it low, not this conflagration going on to get it too hot or steamy. And yeah, sometimes it would be okay, sometimes not. And there are definitely good things to like in this blend. So I appreciate all that feedback from my Patreon supporters. Please keep it up. All right, gang, but now as I reach for my Nikon FE2, I just want to briefly talk about a photography subject here. This is the film camera that I've been using a lot, and I have been using it a lot. I've been taking even more film pictures lately. I still use my digital camera, of course, pretty much every day, but I have been bringing this with me. Well, I've been bringing this with me every day for a long time too, but I've actually been only having this out of the bag sometimes when I go around, when usually I would have my digital camera and my film camera hanging from me all the time. Sometimes I'm just taking this out of the bag, and I'm trying to take more candid shots with this, usually with the film camera, because you have to critical focus and everything. It's not autofocus, obviously. I would use this more for, you know, pictures where I could take my time, where I would see something interesting and decide, okay, this is a film camera shot, I'm going to use this. But now I've actually been doing more of the hyperfocus, using the focusing scale, putting it on f/16, focusing it around, you know, like 9 feet or a little over 2 meters. And if you're in f/16, you know, you'll get that really nice depth of field where you can snap more candid shots and not have to worry about critical focus as much. And I've been getting some good results, and I've been liking using this a lot. But I keep thinking, I have never touched a rangefinder camera in my life. And many of the heroes that I really look up to as far as photography goes, people like, well, not Walker Evans, he didn't use a rangefinder camera, he used a actual view camera, like one of those large format cameras. But people like Frank, Winogrand, Cartier-Bresson, like some of the giants in the photography field, it seems like so many of them used rangefinder cameras. And I have never even touched a rangefinder. And if you don't know, you don't know if you're not into photography, but rangefinder is a completely different system. A single lens reflex camera like this, when you're looking through the viewfinder, you are seeing a reflected image that the lens is actually capturing. So there's a mirror inside there, and what you're seeing is what the lens is seeing. So there are pros and cons to rangefinder and SLR cameras, but I guess the big thing with SLR is that when you're framing your shot, there's no parallax or anything because you're actually seeing what the lens is seeing. With a rangefinder camera, it's hard to explain, but basically it's triangulating focus. When you're looking through it, you're just looking through a viewfinder. You're not looking through the lens. And then there's a rangefinder patch where it's triangulating based on distance. That's another thing with a rangefinder is that you can't focus super close because of the necessity of the triangulation. And then there's like a little, I think, since I've never looked through a rangefinder, I think you're basically superimposing this little rectangle on top of itself to make sure that you're in focus. People say that it's much more quick. People say that it's a lot easier to, take quick snapshots with a rangefinder. And I don't know. I've never tried one, and I'm really, really fascinated. I would love to try, a classic Leica film camera like an M4 or an M6. I don't think there's any world in which I could ever afford one of those. Leica still makes new M6s. They also make the MP and MA, I think. Those are their film cameras that they still make. A brand new Leica M6 is close to $6,000 US. And we're not even talking about with the lens, because a Leica lens is going to be at least around $3,000. So you're looking at over $8,000 for a film camera from Leica. So there's no chance in hell that I could ever get one of those. And even on the used market, a nice M6 in good condition is, close to $3,000. It's just insane. The prices have exploded lately. The slightly older versions like the M4 that doesn't have a light meter inside, they're still super expensive, but maybe someday in my life, that's something I might actually be able to afford. But I would just love to try one and see the difference. And it's interesting that so many of my photographic heroes used Leica rangefinders, and it makes me think there must be something to that. I don't think it's going to make me a better photographer, but I think maybe it would influence the kinds of pictures you're taking. Because like I said, when I'm using my SLR, it is more where I'm like, oh, I see something, I'm gonna go take a photograph of it, as opposed to me just walking around and seeing something and quickly snapping a photo. I think I've gotten a little better at doing that with the SLR, but I'm very curious about the rangefinder. So if any of you have experience with Leica film rangefinder cameras, let me know what you have thought in the comment section below, especially in relation or versus using a manual focus SLR camera. I would love to hear what you have to say. Also, Aeroplane, I just wanted to point out, if you guys are into photography or photography books, I love looking at photo books, but they're usually out of print and it's insanely expensive if you want to get them. But lately I've been looking into reprints of books, and on Amazon, they have Walker Evans' seminal work, American Photographs, that was released in 1938, I believe. You can get it for $22.50 right now in hardback on Amazon. It's an insane deal, so definitely go to Amazon and check that out. Walker Evans' American Photographs. It is a seminal work. It is really great, and it is as close as they could come to an exact reproduction of the original 1938 edition. it's just gorgeous. I've seen most of the photographs before, obviously, but it's really cool to have the actual book in hand. It's beautifully bound. It was printed in Italy. It's fantastic for $22.50. Check that out. Ugh. After a quick battery change, we are back. Ow. This is a different kind of butt rock. Oh. But it is definitely earning the moniker as well. But now it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me, things are blowing away, and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at @SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Also, if you are a Patreon supporter, you can write to me via Patreon and go right to the front of the line. You can't hit that super thanks button under this video because it no longer exists because this channel has been demonetized by YouTube. But you could also leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube videos. Just like last week's Sunday Stuff and Things, in the comment section, we have some feedback from @Chris Caughey, who says, "Can't wait for Hal of the Wind." Well, it's, no. Is it this week? No, it's not this week, but the week after, on Patreon exclusively. @I'mThatGuy529 says, "Yes! So glad you finally tried Hal of the Wind. I knew you'd like it." @TMarkovic says, "I have all 3 blends. Hal of the Wind, Old Gowrie," he has abbreviations for these, "Old Gowrie and Marlin Flake, known as the Rattray's Holy Trinity. Marlin Flake I don't much care for. Old Gowrie is very good, almost great. Hal of the Wind is my all-time favorite." And I think that's probably where I'm going to put Hal of the Wind as well. I haven't had Old Gowrie in a while, so maybe I would have to put them up against each other, but yeah, I'm liking Hal of the Wind. @Peter Radiant Pipes 2800 says, "I've been on a big Rattray's kick this past year. Well, I always liked it, but est several tins of Old Gowrie, then 4 or so of Brown Clooney, an awesome mild blend, now onto Hal of the Wind and loving it. Nice to go from one to the other and get a good comparison. I've got lots of Marlin and Red Rapparee too, but those are different styles. The first 3 are like Taco Bell. All the same ingredients, just slightly different amounts. I assumed you'd never been monetized, really. They never allowed tea stuff, I figured. I hope it works for you, but there are some serious BS rules. YouTube is so unstable. As for rules, etc., it's terrifying if you rely on that income." It is terrifying if you rely on YouTube income. I no longer have any YouTube income. And they used to allow monetization of tea videos way back in the day when I first started the channel over 10 years ago. Then by around 2018, they demonetized all those videos. And for several years, I was only monetizing videos that didn't have to do with pipe tea or didn't show actual pipes being est on the channel. And then finally they said, because you have pipe stuff on your channel at all, we are demonetizing you entirely. And that's when I finally got the message. They don't want pipe stuff on YouTube. Anyway, we have @placeholder8671 who says, "Yeah, once you notice people walking with feet externally rotated." So I was mentioning this the other day, or on the last Sunday Stuff and Things, where I noticed people walking around with their feet like this, not straight, but like rotated out to the side. I just find it really odd, and I keep noticing this. You can't unsee it. A lot of people have really poor ankle mobility from being sedentary and wearing chunky modern shoes all the time and end up walking like that to compensate. @Luigi Verona says, "I might be a bit late to the party regarding hobbies. I personally think there are no boring hobbies, and it comes down to how well you're able to relay your passion to your audience." So we mentioned that in a Sunday Stuff and Things a while back. What's the most boring hobby to people who are not into that hobby? It's just that some hobbies are more difficult to talk about in a fun way, and you have to get inventive. It's always easier if there's a community aspect to it. For example, the whole STG versus McFadin debacle was really fun to follow because losing favorite products is something anyone can relate to. Yeah, and Luigi is a great Patreon supporter and very active in the Patreon community, so thank you, Luigi, for that. And it's interesting because Luigi is not into pipes, but he finds some of these things interesting, which I find interesting. So to me, the whole boring hobby to other people thing doesn't really apply to me, because if somebody is passionate about something and they're interested in that thing, I will usually enjoy hearing about that thing, but not everyone is like that. Luigi obviously is, though. And then finally we have @Leopold597. "I noticed that you recently uploaded your 1000th video. Gee damn, your perseverance is mesmerizing and highly appreciated." Well, thank you, Leopold, but I uploaded my 1000th video a long time ago, but many of my videos are now gone from YouTube because of the anti-pipe stuff. So I think I had 1,500 videos or something on YouTube at one point, but now I think we're around 1,000 because so many of them have been taken away. But thank you for that. Gang, thank you for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. We have dueling trains and planes going on right now, but hopefully you can still hear me. But we'll come back in a second with the very best part of the show. All right, gang, but now it is the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support the channels on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. And it is now the only way that you can support the channel because my YouTube channel has been demonetized. So if you like any things that I do, any of the things that I do on YouTube or on Patreon, Patreon's the place to show your support. And every week we like to shout out those who support the channel at $25 or more a month. The producers of Stuff and Things. People like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, Jonathon Proctor, The Friendly Piper, GreatGrol, Glenn, Just Glenn, Les Brady, David Severin, Nicholas James, Kyle Whitmore, Mr. Gibson, and Chris Caughey. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month, people like Bob Magee and Ryan McFadin. And of course, we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. Gang, thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned for all the good stuff coming up on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. I am going to go home, edit these videos, and then take my film camera out and take some pictures. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a Sunday. Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.